Alright, so today, this is the video that I promised you. The ultimate shootout between the JCM 800 is what we're going through now, and then the DSL1. So they actually call this the JCM1. This is the 50th anniversary. This is the 4th video I'm doing on this series. So after this, I'm probably going to sell this one, which is the JCM1. Kind of looks the same, right? Except this one has more knobs. Like we talked about before, this one has everything you want, but it sounds like shit because it's like, you know, $350. This one, brand new in 2012, I think was like $850, but now it goes up to $1,500 because it's a collector's item. You can't buy this anymore. I already went over all this. You guys got to watch the series to look through all this. This is a 2-channel, right? You get all the bells and whistles here. This is a 2-channel. This has reverb. This has an effects loop. This one has, this is 1 channel, no reverb, no effects loop. So we're just going to compare both of these, right? So I'm just going to play some thrash riffs, and then we'll see, you know, if we can actually, you know, I know some of you probably think that, oh wait, maybe I can just get this to sound like this. And I'm going to prove to you why that's not possible. You know, part of this, we already talked about a lot of this stuff. You know, like I said, I'm an electrical engineer, at least by education. I never found a job, you know. So it's like the hardest major. You put in all this work and, you know, you don't find a job. So now I do AI. Anyway, I have to say that every time because there's new viewers. You know, there's new people, you know, new viewers watching this thing, right? So anyway, from that point of view, see, this is a different circuit than this. So each head has its own kind of voicing, right? Just like a speaker has voicing. So this has its own voicing, this has its own voicing. It's not just about the EQ. If it were just about the EQ, I could just get this sound, you know, by EQing this the right way, right? We're going to see why that's not really possible. And, you know, I've actually never done this, you know, like an A/B test like this before with both of these amps. So again, I'm just going through, you know, the same thing as before. Just the super overdrive pedal, which is very versatile, and then a noise gate, and then this, that's it. The overdrive pedal is to really just kind of tighten everything up, right? So this JCM 800 50th anniversary 1 watt, both of these are 1 watt. We talked about why one is louder than the other, right? We talked about this in the last, I think the second video, and then I explained to you that you can have a rating of 1 watt or the same wattage, but the volume can be different because it's engineered to have different volume. I talked about the output transformer and how that is one of the things that can determine the volume, which is the final stage, which is usually the biggest stage, right? And then this is probably attenuated so that people don't go play gigs with this, right? Which is great for us because now we can have amp distortion. We covered all this, so you're going to have to watch all the other videos, okay? So, and then this is in the 0.1 watt mode, and then I have the boost switch popped out, which makes it sound more like a JCM, and then I have both the amp distortion and the preamp gain at about 8, which is impossible in this amp because this amp is a lot louder. So same wattage, but this one is way louder, which makes it unusable because it's not good enough to actually get a decent sound in here. At the same time, it's not good enough to play with the band because it's not loud enough. Then, as I've said many times before, what good is it for? I don't know. So this one, even though they probably just did this because they don't want you to use this live and then not buy the full-blown JCM, for us it's great because now I can have power amp distortion, which is how a lot of these thrash heads get the sound, okay? So I'm just going to play this. Keep playing this. So I could just play some, you know, my own stuff, but then I don't think it would be as interesting as if I played like a cover riff, right? Because then like you'd be more interested because you know how that sounds already, right? So we'll just play like Megadeth, Metallica, Slayer in this guitar with this amp. And then what I'll do is that I'll have to kind of cut out this part where because I don't want you to, you know, see everything and be bored. Because then I have to turn this on, wait a minute, and then we're going to go back and forth, right? So those parts I'll cut out when I'm going to switch over to the amp. So hopefully we can remember the riffs that we play with this amp and then try to play it on that amp. And then we'll go back to this one, all right? Any requests? So I think certain things that we need to pay attention to is how the notes kind of ring out. So unfortunately, you can't see this portion of the neck because this flying V is like, you know, it's just the dimensions of it are weird. And I can't put everything in here. I'm already sitting at the edge of the couch. So if I go way over here, I guess you can, but then you won't be able to see it. So, all right, maybe I'll have to do this then. So, certain notes, how they ring out. So I think a good example riff for this is the Holy Wars. It's so awkward for me to play like this, guys. I gotta move over here a little bit, sorry. I'm gonna fall off the fucking thing. So, just remember how this sounds here. You can actually hear this. So the good thing here is that you can hear all the notes, right? So, when I voice a chord, when I play a chord, you can hear all the notes. And you're going to understand why you can't do that here. You won't have that note depth or the weight or anything else like that. All right, so Megadeth. I think that's what else you want me to play. Sorry. One more Megadeth riff, and then we'll move on to another band. Okay, so I'm not the greatest player, so some of this has got limited by my ability to play it. So all right, so I think that's a great riff. All right, okay, so let's play Metallica. Just pretty much the same thing as Megadeth. Okay. So Slayer, how about... Close your eyes, look deep in your soul, slip outside yourself and let your mind go. Close your eyes, stare deep in your mind as you die. Alright, okay, so I will switch over to the other amp now. Alright, so now we have this turned on, DSL1, and I'll try to put it in the same kind of configuration as the JCM1. Remember, this is called the JCM1, this is the DSL1. 58th anniversary, this is one in mass production, right? So, I put it in the 0.1 watt mode because both of these amps go from 1 to 0.1 watt mode. This is a lot louder because it's engineered to be a lot louder. And then, like we said, you know, it kind of sounds like shit when you turn it up. And we're not going to be able to get the power amp distortion from here because you simply can't turn it up. Because I had this turned up to 8, the master volume, right? So what I've done here is that I've tried to match it by kind of giving this a mid boost by just turning up the mids. Because that's all we can do, you know. So already you hear a hiss here. So you kind of pay for the quality. So let's, as it warms up, let's kind of see what are the riffs we played here. I think, and I'll play the same riffs again. What did we play? We played Megadeth, Holy Wars, and then Mary Jane, and then Metallica, Disposable Heroes, and Leper Messiah, and then we played, let me see. And then we played Slayer, right? Seasons of the Abyss, okay? So immediately it's a little bit louder. So remember that this is because it's so loud. Because it's barely in like 3, I think. So I'm going to turn it down. It's like maybe 2.5 or something. So we can match it. I don't know. Maybe it'll sound similar. I'm not sure. So, okay. Okay? So we'll start with holy riffs. And again, I can't really... I'll have to go Immediately, what I can tell is that, I don't know if you can tell this from home, but you might be tempted to think that, oh wait, it kind of sounds the same. Is this really worth, you know, over $1,000, and this is like, you know, basically about $300, right? $320 on sale. But the thing here is that what I'm already starting to hear is that there's a lot more gain here, so that's why it sounds, you know, mushy. So let me back off the gain just a little bit here. Because, you know, this comes with a healthy gain here. This one, you have to provide your own. It's the same exact setup. Same exact pedals. All I did is just, you know, use the chord without changing any of the settings. So you automatically hear that woolliness. Right? You hear that woolliness. I don't know if you can hear that hiss. So these are all things that come with the, you know, the price. Right? And when I turn this off, you'll hear a loud thump. I called up Marshall and I said, when I first bought the DSL1, I said, hey, when I turn it off, it sounds like a, you know, it sounds like, you know, a thump or something like that. And he said, for this price point, that's all you can expect. That's common for this price point. Anyway, so those are some of the things because it's on the cheaper side. So we played that one, so let me play this one. So it's easier to play because it has more gain. Remember we were talking about hiding behind the distortion. So the more gain you have, the easier it is to play, but then we lose the definition of it. So this is way easier to play for me, right? But it doesn't sound as crisp. It doesn't sound as, if you record this, it's going to sound even more, you know, kind of obscure and shitty because usually when you record it, right, it actually sounds a little bit worse unless you really know what you're doing and you're recording with like top-notch equipment, right? Because what you hear in the room is not what's going to get recorded. So it's going to sound worse than this recorded. So anyway, still sounds like it's too much gain. It might just be my setting. Now I may have to, I don't want to mess around with the setting. So maybe I should just back off the gain just a little bit even more. I have the gain about noon now. And note that the volume, I can't even turn it up past 2. I mean, here's what it sounds like, just a little bit more. I don't know if you can tell, but that's pretty loud. I have this button popped out. Let me make sure. Yep, I have this popped out. And the louder it gets, the more mushy it gets. And I even have the reverb turned all the way back. So the reverb here is to really sort of mask that woolliness. So I turned up the reverb. Right. So I'll just keep it turned off so that you can hear the pure sound since this one doesn't have reverb. Okay, so we did the Megadeth, Metallica. So clearly you can tell here that, you know, it's just a price point. I don't know how much longer you want me to beat this but concept over and over again, but it's the price point. You know, this is a lot more clearer. It has more definition, the JCM1, right? This one, it just sounds mushy. That's what you're paying to get rid of in this one. So, and people know about the gain issue here, where the gain is just kind of woolly. You know, it's just kind of too much, right? So, I mean, it's already, the test is already over. I mean, clearly this is better. This one, you just get what you paid for. That's it. I mean, that's really all this is. Right? You don't have the note definition. You don't have the depth. You don't have the, so I'll play the Slayer bit. To play this part. So see how it rings out a lot more sustained because the gain is high. So don't be fooled by that. The gain is high. Remember I played the same thing with the JCM one. That almost sounds more like the album, right? That almost sounds exactly like the album. Given that it's a, you know, they use a different JCM. This one, this is like a very entry level Marshall. That's what I would say. This is the entry level Marshall. It's $320 on sale. You get what you pay for. So It just sounds kind of mushy. It's kind of like a toy Marshall, right? It kind of like, if you want to be sort of in the ballpark of a Marshall, it kind of gives it to you. Unfortunately, you can't. They should just mass produce this, but they don't want to do that because this is their flagship. JCM 800 is their flagship product, and if they mass produce this amp, right, their other one, you know, the 20 watt one, which goes down to 5, we talked about that before, and the full-blown one, the sales will probably go down because, as we said, when are you ever going to crank a Marshall to 7? That's loud, because it would be too loud, right? And this is the 0.1 watt mode. If I go to the 1 watt mode, right, this actually sounds a little bit better, but it's going to be way too loud. I can't even turn it up to 1. So getting a power amp distortion, you know, in this amp, it's almost impossible. I mean, I could turn this up, but you see how the more I turn it up, the more it's almost like you don't want to hear it, right? That's already as loud as, and that's about as, you know, 4, 5, right? And that's pretty loud here. And so that's the advantage of this. As I said, I think you can still find these, you know, if you can find it used, you know, I would go for it. Unfortunately, there's no middle ground between this and this. You would think that they would be like, okay, if they made this and said, okay, we're going to charge you double this, and then this is going to be about, you know, $800 or something like that, $750, it would basically instantly sell out. Instantly. But now that Marshall is owned mostly by China, is what I believe, because the Marshall, you know, Jim Marshall died, so their family basically just sold it off. This happens to all American companies, or, you know, Western British-owned companies, is that the offsprings of the originator, they don't feel the same passion as, you know, Jim Marshall did or something like that, you know, and they probably sold it off for like $1 billion or whatever it is, and that's all they care about. They're like, okay, fine, you know, we'll just go with, you know, some kind of leverage on it, but you know how this goes, right? The person that has, you know, it's not 50-50. If you have 51%, 49, the person with the 51% has more leverage, and they could basically say, if the Marshall family wanted to do this again, the Chinese people just, you know, could just say, the Chinese company could just say no, right? And since they put the pedal out, they're probably not going to do this. Anyway, I'm going to say no contest with this because it's just, I mean, I don't know. I'll play a bonus riff. Right? That actually sounds all right if I turn on the, I'll put the reverb up, since, you know, that album sounds like this anyway. Right? That's probably about as best as you can get. I mean, I can, and that's with the mids cranked all the way up to, so I have the bass at 4, the treble at 4, and then the mids at 9. So if I bring the mids down, it's really going to sound. So it kind of sounds like, you know, it's got a blanket over it. You know what I mean? It sounds like it's got like a blanket of woolliness over it. Now we have to turn it up. So all the definition is lost. So we have to turn up the mids on this one. If I turn it up too high, and if I turn up the treble too high, it's going to sound more woolly. So it's kind of all you're going to get with this. I mean, I could really turn down the gain here and put it at 3. That's probably the best you can do with this. That sounds is probably as close to we can get to a you know, JCM. What I did here is that I'm letting the pedal do all the work. I basically turned down the gain to 3. And then the volume is at 3, so that this gain, the amp gain here is kind of mushy and, you know, dirty, too dirty. And then, you know, it's kind of woolly, right? In a bad way, right? I guess woolly is always bad, but woolly is a sound that kind of sounds like, you know, too much fizz. I guess the Brits call it fizz. We call it kind of woolly, right? Fizz is actually a better word because it just sounds like, you know, it's got that. So this is probably because now you have some clarity. So it's going to sound like this. Now it's starting to affect my playing because there's not that much gain. So it's just, you know, I don't know. I mean, I had this for years. So now that I upgraded to this, when I had nothing but this, I was happy. I was like, okay, well, that's all I have, you know. So this is all we can work with. Everything else is out of my price point. Not that I don't want to spend $1,500. You know, I mean, I pretty much did for this. Not $1,500, but, you know, over $1,000 for this one. But I want it to be usable in this setting, right? So if I buy the 20 watt one, which is the Studio JCM 800, it goes down to 5 watt, but I doubt that it's going to be usable here. This right here, what you're hearing, you know, when I switch to this is the 0.1 watt mode. So I need something that can work here. You know, if 1 watt is too loud, imagine, you know, 5 watts probably going to be louder, obviously, right? So, although we did have the discussion that, you know, 2 1 watt amps can have different volume, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, right? So, I don't know. It's just, do you want me to continue with this? It's like a joke. So it's a Slayer first album. So anyway, I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm just saying, I know a lot of people have this, right? So I'm not saying I don't want, you know, I don't want to say anything bad. I'm just saying, in comparison, this is just, you know, miles away, miles away. All right, now we're back to this amp here, JCM1. I'll probably never use this one again. Like I said, I'm going to try to get rid of it. So I'll let it warm up just for a little bit. Now that you heard the DSL1, you know, this is going to sound way better, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I think that it's just, maybe the 20 watt will be worth it. Because what you can do is you can get what's called a power soaker. Right? You get a power soaker, you put it down to 5 watt, and then you know, try to get it at bedroom volumes, I guess. But the problem with the power soaker, and they have, you know, a couple of products like this, which basically, you know, tries to attenuate the sound, right? Like, you know, you could turn up a Marshall to 6, but then, you know, the amount of power is attenuated. So if you do that, the problem is that it affects the harmonics, so you don't get. So it affects the harmonics, so you don't get like a faithful reproduction of the sound. All right, and we're back. Right? Sounds totally like the album. Or closer to the album than the DSL, right? Now that we played at this volume, let me just turn this up a little bit. It seems like it's not loud enough. I didn't want to turn it up too loud because when I watched the video back from last time, this mic picked up way too much of it. sounds closer to the album. Now that I played the other one and came back, right, I could actually play with this, but I don't want to fuck with it now. I mean, I can actually play with the EQ a little bit better. I'm sure you can get a better tone if you play with this a little bit more. Let's see what happens if I turn up the bass a little bit. It's probably going to screw up the whole sound. See, if you turn up the bass, it becomes kind of flabby. So I'm going to roll it back a little bit to where it was. Anyway, for you Justice for All fans out there. So that's what this sounds like, even though that album, you know, it's not, right? It's Mesa Boogie. They went to Mesa Boogie from Master of Puppets and then also, you know, on Justice for All. Little bit of show no mercy there. Anyway, so that is the comparison. As I said, night and day. You know, you really don't know what it sounds like till you compare it, right? You got to compare what this existing one. As I said, I had this for years, maybe about 3 years or something, and I thought that's it. You know, this is like the, you know, I actually thought this was good. Now that I moved up to this price point, I see how shitty this one is. Anyway, I'll try to go sell this to, you know, somebody maybe that's just looking for that Marshall flavor, you know, that introduction to Marshall sound. And Yeah, I think this might be the last video I make of this series, or, you know, talking about this specifically. Now that you know that I have this amp, whenever I play a Marshall, I'll just play that. You know, I'll just be playing through this one, the JCM1, and maybe one more. Oh yeah, the Black Sabbath one, right? And then the Motorhead one. Yeah, maybe one or two more. Next video I'm going to do is probably going to be different. It's probably going to be something else. And I'll finally show my face again. The next video, I think, is I'm going to shave probably tomorrow. If I shave tomorrow, I'll do another video. If I shave Saturday, I'll do one over the weekend. Making these videos, if I show my face, depends on my shaving cycle. I know. Okay, I'll play one last thing. All right. Let's do the Metallica. Okay, all right. So, according to Hugh Tanner, you know, the first guitar player of Metallica, this was a song, No Remorse, of just shit pile of riffs that they didn't know what to do with. And they just kind of just shit piled it, basically, put it all together, and that became the song. Anyway.